Yo! What up, everybody? I'm Rim. Like and subscribe and watch my other videos. So, apparently, we live in a world where dumb motherfuckers get offended by dumb shit and other dumb motherfuckers feel the insatiable desire to enable their dumb motherfuckerness. But it's not like we didn't already know that.
I have received an enormous, massive outpouring of reactions and responses from my Ukrainian readers, expressing anger, sorrow, disappointment, and pain about the fact that I would choose to release a book into the world right now, any book, no matter what the subject of it is, that is set in Russia. And I want to say that I have heard these messages and read these messages, and I respect them. And as a result, I'm making a course correction. And I'm removing the book from its publication schedule. It is not the time for this book to be published.
Some of you may know Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and probably some other things that aren't really as famous. She was writing another book called The Snow Forest, but decided to cancel its release, or honestly, it's likely that she delayed it. But that part isn't what I think is stupid. Apparently, the setting to The Snow Forest is in Russia or something, and as you may all know, nobody likes Russia right now since they invaded Ukraine. And obviously, no sane person likes the idea of war, since nothing good that can actually come from war could possibly outweigh the negative effects that it will have on the people involved, as well as the destructive effect that modern-day weaponry has on the environment and area of the war as a whole. More or less, there are very little reasonable excuses to start a fucking war. So it makes sense that people don't like Vladimir Putin or what he caused. That being said, this should have nothing to do with Elizabeth Gilbert. She isn't Vladimir Putin. She ain't fucking Vladimir Putin. And she doesn't have anything to do with the war in Russia. And I don't know what her book is about, but I doubt it has anything to do with the war in Russia. And even if it did, what's the problem with that? Unless her book is calling for readers to find Ukrainian refugees and mud stomp them to death for the sole reasoning of them being the enemies of Mother Russia, I don't see any reason why she shouldn't be allowed to publish a book that puts its setting in Russia. I mean, there are plenty of media properties that feature glorified depictions of Russians and Russia. One such property is a game that I love. Overwatch has Zarya, the strongest woman in the world, and a Russian native who loves her country. Why is this relevant? Because nobody gives a shit about that, and if you're going to say that nobody cares about it because it isn't specifically placed in Russia, my question would be, specifically, what about the setting of Russia is so negative? Is it because Russia is the country that went to war with Ukraine? Okay, yeah, sure. So then, does that make the entire country evil? And if so, if the entire country is evil, how would you personify that? How would you quantify the aspects of Russia that are evil? Is it the people? Is it the soldiers, the weapons, or simply the idea of Russia as a whole that is evil in general? Which, in this case, would encompass the people, the places, and everything that resides in the area of Russia as a whole. But, in the very likely scenario that you don't want to be a racist asshole, let's assume that you're not saying that. Then it falls on you to come up with a reasoning as to why. You, being the tiny minority of people that this pushover of an author and her publicists are bowing down to, are so offended that Russia is the setting of this fucking book. Aside from, I see stimuli and must react negatively to it. So, why am I bothered by her canceling it, you might ask? Well, because this is indicative of something that I believe is an infection spreading throughout our society. The death of freedom of speech. The beginning of actual fascism, and the destruction of creativity in the name of catering to a group of fucking dipshits that get off on complaining about dumb shit, which I believe is also a symptom of the death of actual common sense and critical thinking. I believe so long as it is not unsarcastically calling for actual harm to anyone, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, nationality, or whatever, a writer should be able to write about whatever the fuck they want to. however the fuck they want to, in whatever setting they fucking want to. And people like her who back down from assholes online are feeding into the infection, festering into a cancerous curse that will lead to the death of creative writing as a whole. Why? Because writers en masse will be forced to water down their content for the sake of being inoffensive, and I fucking hate the idea of that. If you're writing something for adults, they should be mature enough to understand that if something is too harsh for them to read or watch, then they shouldn't read it or watch it. And if they choose to read it or watch it, then they should be able to handle whatever that piece of media has to offer, even if they don't like it. Now, to be fair, on that note, Elizabeth Gilbert is allowed to do whatever the fuck she wants with her book, and nobody should have a say in it, including the people like me who hate the fact that she canceled it. However, I also reserve the right to give my opinion on the subject as well, and what she did is stupid. The war in Ukraine is a bad thing. I do not agree with it for the sole fact that I hate the idea of war like most people. That being said, this book has nothing to do with that. Even if it does happen to be about a civilian having to live through the war, it would still be a work of historical fiction and wouldn't be the first. As long as it is executed with care, it would be fine. Anyway, I'm done for now. I'm Rim. Please like and subscribe. I am looking to get to 50 subs as soon as I can. It is a very small goal, but it is a goal that I cannot achieve alone, so I need your help. Thank you in advance. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.